We're continuing the Ancient Relics tier list, and today we have Pael. It's not Pael, okay? I'm not going to read that as Pael. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong anyway. Pael has a lot of really great relics. I'm excited to talk about them all, and I want to hear everybody's thoughts in the comment section below. I'm here for it. I want to change my mind about things that are good. I could be misevaluating things. Let's get this list started with Pael's Claw. And upon pickup, enchant all defends with Goopy. Pael's Claw, just straight into the high value tier. Goopy is this card gains exhaust. When played, permanently increase this card's block by 1. Pael's Claw is absolutely incredible for multiple reasons. Number 1, it makes defends way better. If you play your defends every single combat, these are going to get up to massive amounts of block in terms of the Act 3 bosses, where the defends are actually very, very useful. And number 2, the other thing that it does is exhaust them so that you don't have to continuously draw into them. So they're really, really good for one-time use in the combat. They're also not going to clog up your deck. It's going to thin out the deck so that you can get to your more important cards later on. You're not going to be able to replace every single block card with the Goopy defends, excuse me. You're going to need to still have some good block cards in the deck because they are going to eventually exhaust during those boss fights. So don't make the mistake of only having those as block cards. Of course, I'm sure you know that. The one thing that you want to make sure that you do in every single combat from the moment you take Pael's Claw is you want to definitely play every single defend in every single fight, because you want that value to increase every single time. Now, there's a caveat to that, of course. I mean, if you're about to die or something like that, and instead you can kill the enemy, obviously you don't want to worry about the defense. But anytime that you get a chance to play them, you should play them so that you can increase the numbers on that card so that they become like these mini genetic algorithms for any character. Pael's Claw is absolutely amazing. Goopy is an absolutely awesome addition to the game. Next, we have Pael's Tooth. Upon pickup, remove 5 cards from your deck. After each combat, randomly add 1 back upgraded. This is gonna get dropped into trap tier. This is a very interesting relic. I think it's kind of fun. I think it's kind of cool. But honestly, out of all Pael's relics, this is probably the worst one for you to grab because you have to remove those 5 cards from your deck. It's going to make the start of Act 2 extremely difficult unless you just sort of make sure that you're not removing cards that are going to definitely win you the first couple fights. You're also going to have to make sure that you go to 5 fights before the elite to guarantee that you get back the really good cards that needed an upgrade in order to beat the next elite, which that's not always so easy. And also that means that you're going into 3 hard hallway fights in Act 2 where you might take a lot of damage. So even if you get back those upgraded cards in time for the elite fight, the elite could just finish the job off that the hard hallway fights maybe weren't able to. Just the complete randomness of the return to your hand. I've had it where I've done this at times where I had the most important card that I really was hoping would come back first, ended up coming back last, and it either cost me the run or almost cost me the run. It seems to happen every time with the randomness that it's always the card you really want back in your deck immediately that takes forever to get back. So the times that I've taken this, I've just made sure that whatever cards I really, really needed in order to beat the first 5 fights, I just kept and just never even upgraded. So they might have been the most important cards for me to upgrade, but I needed to keep them in order to continue the run. It's just not very good in that sense. It's really just not super great in general. It is cool to have 5 cards upgraded. It is not cool to lose the run early because you were trying to upgrade those cards. Yeah, so I would just put Pael's Tooth into the trap tier. Next up, Pael's Growth. Upon pickup, enchant a card with Clone. Clone means that this card can be duplicated at rest sites. I know that you probably have all seen this happen, but when you get Clone on a card, you go to the rest site, and instead of smithing or resting, you clone, which gives you another copy of any card that says clone on it. So if you get a new copy of that, then the next time you're going to get double that amount, and then double that amount, and then double that amount, and double that amount. This might be a controversial take, but this is run dependent. I know there's a ton of people that consider Clone like Snap Pick and S tier, and it is the greatest relic of all time. Pael's Growth, it's cool. It's very, very fun when you get the right situation. But a lot of the times, by the time I get to Act 2, I don't have a good card that I can clone. I just don't. You need the right card to make this work. Most of the time, you're going to need something that gives you draw when you're cloning. Most of the time, that's not always the case. I've had a lot of success with this with, of course, Perfected Strike. That's like the classic that everybody loves to do. When you get a Perfected Strike clone run, it is absolutely incredible. It is super, super fun. When you get this to work on the right card, something like Big Bang, something like Adrenaline that's giving you energy and draw every time you play them, that is when Pael's Growth is an automatic snap pick. But I found, like I said, most of the time, by the time I find Pael's Growth, I don't have any of those cards. If you make too many clones of cards and they don't really work together and it doesn't really work so well, then you're gonna just put too many cards in your deck and you're not gonna end up winning. I've done it multiple times. Take it from my example. I don't really remember every single card that I've done it with, but I know I did it with Super Critical. I thought that would be really cool because I would have a lot of energy and I would be able to get through it. And Test Subject absolutely destroyed me in that situation. And then I also did it with Defrag, which was good until I cloned one too many times. And then all I was drawing into were defragments. And I ended up losing because I couldn't draw into any of the other cards that were really important because I just had too many defragments in my deck. If you can discipline yourself and not put like 64 versions of a card into your deck, if you only do it like 8 times, you probably will have pretty good success, in which case that's really good. Just from my own personal experience, it's hard to discipline yourself to do that because it's super cool to clone a card and it's super, super nice to have that many in the deck. Pael's Growth is definitely super, super fun. You just gotta make sure that your deck or your run has the cards that you want. So I would put it in this run dependent category / deck dependent category, I guess. Just be careful before you take a Pael's Growth and clone a card that is not going to really help you. Next up, we got Pael's Legion. Doubles block gained from a card, then goes to sleep for 2 turns. The interesting part about Pael's Legion, it sounds like it only works like once every 3 turns, but I do not believe that's the case. Unless I'm mistaken, you can correct me in the comments, but I believe it's just essentially every other turn. I believe it counts as going to sleep for that first turn that you're still on. So you play a block card at the beginning of the turn, you end your turn, that was one card that it goes, one turn that it goes to sleep for, and then the next turn it doesn't work, and then the turn after that, you're going to be able to play another block card and double it, if I'm not mistaken. This is getting dropped right into the good, but you can probably do better tier. This is very, very solid, and Pael's Relics are extremely, extremely good. Most of them are going to find their way into these like top 2 or 3 tiers, and you're probably not necessarily going to need Pael's Legion. There are certainly some times where this fits perfectly for your deck. So in that case, you could take it. It's not bad by any stretch of the imagination. It's just a little worse than all the other relics that we're going to talk about. I think that gaining double block is absolutely incredible. I think the every other turn thing is pretty rough at times because obviously, like, you face the bosses and you would prefer if you got double block more often than every other turn. But I do understand why they don't do it every single turn, because then this would be absolutely broken and this would probably just be an easy snap pick. It's very, very close to like run dependent tier. It's just that we're going to talk about a lot of really, really good relics, and I just think that it finds itself a little underneath those. But if you have big block cards, if you maybe don't have enough block, if you have a thin deck where you are going to draw into these big block cards often, there's a lot of reasons to take Pael's Legion. And I got to kind of nitpick for these tier lists so that I can just put them on a tier list in general. This is really sort of just an excuse to talk about each relic and really discuss them in detail. That's what I really like about making these tier lists. Next up, we got Pael's Flesh. Gain an additional energy at the start of your third turn and every turn after that. This is just a very solid relic. I gotta just drop it right into the high value tier. Getting extra energy from the third turn onwards is amazing. This is incredible in boss fights. It's maybe not the most useful relic in terms of hallway fights. Either way, it's just got so much value on the back end, like the boss fights, the elites. This is going to come into play, and a lot of the times you're going to need energy. There's no real downside except for the fact that you don't get the extra energy on turns 1 or 2, but that's something that you can overlook if you are desperate for energy, if it takes you a lot of setup to get your deck going. If you just know that most fights take you like 8, 9, 10 turns anyway, well, you're going to have an extra, 6, 7, 8, 9 energy in that situation. You're just going to be able to utilize Pael's Flesh in a lot of different situations. It's just very, very solid. It's certainly not snap pick necessarily, because there are, like I said, a lot of really, really good relics for Pael. Anything that gives you energy in this game, usually pretty decent. But energy is usually a little hard to come by, especially in relic form, which is the easiest way to get it because it's just passive and it's just there for you all the time. You don't have to draw into a specific card in order to get the extra energy. A cool thing to think about if you have like Lantern and Candelabra and then you grab Pael's Flesh, well, that means that every single turn that you have in a combat, you're gonna have at least one extra energy. All three of those turn into one big relic that gives you energy every single turn. I like to think of it that way. It really doesn't necessarily have any real bearing on anything. It is a way that you can create your own energy relic that just keeps going the entire game. Next up, we have Pael's Horn. Upon pickup, add 2 Relax to your deck. Relax is a 3 energy card that gains 15 block. Next turn, draw 2 cards and gain 2 energy. Exhaust. And then if it's upgraded, it gains 17 block, draws you 3 cards and 3 energy. This one's kind of rough for me because I do think it's good, but you could probably do better. But I also just think that it doesn't really belong on the same level as Pael's Legion. I think it's sort of a trap. It's not actually a bad card. Relax is very solid. You're gaining a decent amount of block, but I don't know, spending 3 energy to gain 17 block, that's assuming the cards are even upgraded. I just don't think it's a bad relic. I just think that 95% of the time you're not taking it. I would probably take it over the Tooth, depending on the situation. Relax being a 3 energy card is pretty rough because, yeah, you'll be gaining 3 energy for the next turn, but it's almost like you're not, right? Because you spent 3 energy in order to play this. If you have things like, I don't know, say Brilliant Scarf, where you could play this on your 5th turn for free, then yeah, this becomes incredibly high value. The problem is this is for Act 2 and Brilliant Scarf is an Act 3 relic. So it's just like it's just hard to grab this in anticipation of getting something like Brilliant Scarf when you don't even know if you're ever going to be offered it. I don't know. You're spending 3 energy to gain 17 block on that initial turn. Then the next turn, you're going to have 3 more energy, and that feels like you're gaining a lot of energy. But because you already spent 3 energy on the previous turn, it's just like really not. If this had more block, then I would move it up. But it doesn't. I just think like literally 90% of these relics you're taking before relax. Next, we've got Pael's Tears. If you end your turn with unspent energy, gain an additional 2 energy next turn. This is a snap pick. All you have to do is basically not spend 1 energy on turn 1, and essentially for the rest of the combat, you're going to have an extra energy per turn. All you have to do on turn 1 is spend 2 out of your 3 energy. Then the next turn, you're going to have 5 energy. And instead of spending all 5, you're just going to spend 4. And you're going to keep doing that over and over and over again until you're about to end the fight. Then you can spend all 5 energy. You kind of never really actually lose anything with this relic except for that 1 energy on turn 1. And all you do is you gain more energy. This is an absolutely incredible relic. I know that when I first started playing, I kept looking at it and being like, this doesn't even sound good at all. Like, I don't know why I would take it. I don't know what I was thinking until I took it and realized, oh, you're gaining an extra energy every time. Like, you're not actually losing anything. You're actually just gaining every turn except for the very first turn in each combat. It's an absolutely incredible way for you to gain energy, and it is a relic that barely has any type of downside. To be honest, it's almost like you're saving that first turn energy that you didn't spend and you're throwing it all the way at the back of the line so that you could use it instead on the last turn. There's almost no downside to this, and in a game where energy might be a little tough to come by, depending on the situation, Pael's Tears is just a great pick in almost any deck. Next up, we got Pael's Wing. You may sacrifice card rewards to Pael. Every 2 sacrifices obtain a relic. This is very, very good, but I would put this into the run deck dependent tier. Essentially, this is just you skipping card rewards in order to obtain more relics, which is absolutely incredible. Sometimes your deck is not super good. You maybe don't have a direction. Sometimes you're not ready to be skipping a ton of card rewards, and you run into a lot of good card rewards and you got to pick up those cards instead. That's kind of the only issue with Pael's Wing. A majority of the time, you are going to want to skip card rewards just in general. The issue is that there are times where I've taken this and then I've needed to grab a ton of card rewards, and this only converted to like, 2 or 3 different relics. 2 or 3 relics is still really good. Like, this is just very, very, very solid. But if I'm putting clone into the run and deck dependent build, I think I got to put Pael's Wing in there too. Both of them have a very good case for high value, but we're being very kind of nitpicky in terms of the tier list. Honestly, maybe a little better than clone. It's probably a little bit less deck dependent than clone 2. It's just that I would probably consider this sort of the middle of the road in terms of Pael's relics, because there are a lot of very, very good relics here, like we talked about. I think that this is sort of the safe route in terms of Pael's relics. Most of the time, this is just very good, but I would just pick the high value and the snap pick relics faster than I would take Pael's Wing. Speaking of snap pick, next up we got Pael's Eye. The first time each combat you end your turn without playing cards, exhaust your hand, and take an extra turn. Exhausting your hand at an opportune moment is such an incredibly strong piece of Slay the Spire. If you draw into a bunch of strikes and defends and then one other card that you really don't need, you can just end the turn and you'll get an extra turn. As long as you don't play any of those cards, you can just wipe them completely from your hand. Now, the next time your deck cycles, your deck is thinner. You'll have an easier time getting to your most important cards. And most importantly, you don't have to take a turn that ends up killing you. So there's been plenty of times where I have found myself in a really rough turn where I'm about to take like 35 damage or I'm about to die and I don't have a solution to the problem that's in front of me. So instead, I just get to skip with Pael's Eye, which exhausts everything, and I basically get a mulligan on that turn. Pael's Eye serves several different purposes. You know, it thins out your deck, it allows you to have a better turn, and it might just save you during a moment where you otherwise had no hope, no help, no nothing. You didn't have the right potions, you didn't get the good draw order, and now all of a sudden you're able to just exhaust those cards and start over. And that may very well be the reason that you end up winning that combat, which may very well be the reason you end up winning that run. And the last relic to talk about is Pael's Blood. At the start of your turn, draw one additional card, and that's getting dropped into the snap pick tier as well. Gaining an additional draw at the start of every single turn is game changing. This could be the whole way that you end up getting to your important cards quicker. This could be some way that you cycle through your deck faster. There are so many utilizations of Pael's Blood, and you really just don't even have to do anything. There's no downside. No matter what, on every single turn that you're going to take for the rest of the game, you are gaining one additional card. Card draw is king in Slay the Spire too. It is imperative that you draw into your most important cards every single time. This is a way to accelerate that process. This is going to make you stronger regardless of what kind of deck you have. An additional card draw is going to be a world of difference for you, and it's going to allow you the chance to play the right cards on the right turns because you're drawing into more of them without having to spend any energy on, like, say, like an acrobatics costs 1 energy, skim costs 1 energy. There's of course plenty of ways to draw cards in Slay the Spire, but just having an automatic passive extra draw every single turn is going to make a world of difference on your run. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. Let me know in the comment section, which relics did I underrate? Which relics did I overrate? I'm curious to hear everybody's thoughts because, hey, I'm only human. I might have gotten some things wrong. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you big time. Go check out some of my other tier lists. Go check out some runs, some guides. I got everything on this channel. I'll catch you on the next video.